In this WrestleTalk news, CM Punk teases everywhere, or WWE Firings, a scary AEW injury, and my review of last night's AEW Fight for the Fallen. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news. I'm wearing a wig now. I've got a master's in academic film theory. I am a scholar, and I'm doing this for you to just subscribe.
Support WrestleTalk!
To persuade females to come close and admire his plumes, he sings the most complex song he can manage.
In this second installment of CM Punk Watch, where I obsess over any slight reference to Punk's AEW debut, I present to you Exhibit D, the entire episode of AEW last night. Tony Schiavone announced that the second ever episode of AEW's new weekly show Rampage on Friday the 20th of August, the day before SummerSlam, will take place in the United Center in Chicago, with the special event name The First Dance, seemingly implying there will be a musical number of some sort, and possibly a major debut. The United Center has a maximum capacity of 23,500 people. Additionally, the First Dance title appears to be a play on The Last Dance Netflix documentary series, which focused on Michael Jordan's final season for the Chicago Bulls, a theme that Punk himself has been leaning into on his Instagram. And on top of that, the first match of last night's show saw the Elite dress up as the Toon Squad from the Michael Jordan starring Looney Tunes movie Space Jam, as corporate synergy to promote Warner's new Space Jam film starring LeBron James. Everything is too well connected. Following Schiavone's announcement, AEW then cut back to Darby Allin backstage, who said this promotion is the place to prove yourself as a wrestler, even if you think you're the best in the world. And later on, MJF paraphrased Punk's infamous pipe bomb promo saying, "As you sit there, as uncomfortable as possible." Fightful Select is also reporting Punk has been a big topic of conversation backstage in AEW, with talents who haven't wrestled him before asking others what he's like to work with. In the same report, it was also noted that AEW had some interest in signing Punk since last year. Meanwhile, AEW president Tony Khan has told the New York Post when asked about Punk and Danielson, "I have no comment on those, but those are good questions, but I can't comment on those." While actor Stephen Amell, who has previously done wrestling training with Punk, told Busted Open Radio, "I don't want to betray stuff that I've talked about with Phil." First name terms, eh? I actually texted him when all this stuff broke, like, "You coming back?" He sent me back a photo of a cat shrugging. The one thing I know for sure is that Phil can still go. He's in great shape. CM Punk, easy, Davis, easy. Put the calming wig back on. It's all safe in the wig. Oh. But anything AEW can do, WWE can do better, as they're planning to top possibly the most crowd-pleasing show ever in Chicago, with a just one fan-pleasing event in Saudi Arabia. WWE is reportedly set for their next show in the Kingdom on October 21st, and Andrew Zarian is now reporting they're planning on holding the Queen of the Ring tournament final in Saudi Arabia, which is due to start on October 8th. It's undoubtedly a PR move on WWE's part to be on the forefront of change. Following longtime talent development VP Canyon Siemens' release last Friday, Fightful Select is reporting WWE have laid off yet more employees behind the scenes, including staff from their merchandising, marketing, and other consumer product areas. There is no word yet on the number of those fired. However, several people were apparently told there's a good chance they will be brought back at some point. In good news, no on-screen talent were part of this, meaning Drake Maverick is safe. There was speculation yesterday he might be preparing for life outside WWE, after already being fired once last April when he reactivated his YouTube channel and uploaded an Impact match of him as Rockstar Spud against Drew Galloway, now McIntyre. Thankfully, according to Good Money Louis Dangour, this is not the case, tweeting, "I can confirm that these rumors are untrue, and Drake uploading videos to his channel has no bearing on his future," warning against recklessly speculating about someone's job status. Well, I just hope everybody knows it does come from a place of love and concern, and that so many people have been fired this year and we're all a little bit on edge. Now it's Thursday, you know what that means. My review of AEW Fight for the Fallen 2021 in about 5 minutes. The show opened in a huge way with the much anticipated 10-man elimination tag between the Super Elite against Hangman Page and the Dark Order, where if the faces won, they'd get shots at the AEW World and Tag Team titles. The presentation of this match was pay-per-view levels of hype, with an opening video package saying how anyone can be a cowboy, before showing Page and the Order on stage, and then the Super Elite got the goofiest Space Jam entrance, complete with basketball dribbling and an actual hoop to dunk through. The match itself was PWG craziness from the start, with tag rules pretty much being ignored for maximum high-spottedness. Sure, that undermines the fundamentals of the wrestling match, and yeah, maybe it takes away from the serious emotion of the Page vs Omega feud. But may I also present the fun defense. When you're having so much fun, I don't actually care. I'm not thinking about whether this move makes sense or if this character's integrity holds up, because actually something far greater is being achieved. Wrestling has bypassed my cynical Mark brain and is shooting right into pure endorphin rushes. And the emotion, as always, was just under the surface, waiting to reveal itself. It came down to Page versus Omega and the Bucks. Hangman kept kicking out, kept making his comebacks, but in the end, Omega hit him with the belt, a very poetically charged object now, for the win. It was heartbreaking. I have no idea how Page gets his title shot now. Pac and Andrade shouted at each other backstage over the Lucha Bros getting stranded at an airport. I'm surprised AEW didn't subtitle both of them. Local radio DJ Taz introduced Ricky Starks' FTW celebration complete with brass band. He ran down Brian Cage for never checking on his broken neck, so Cage came down and beat up some musicians. How do you follow smashing a bass drum over a guy's head? This segment didn't know either and just fizzled out. New Japan's Horseshoe Tanahashi then appeared on screen to challenge the winner of tonight's US title match, which annoyed Mox, who doesn't know why the French can go to Japan and compete in the Olympics when he can't travel there to beat up the New Japan roster. The goddamn French! He said the forbidden door is now open and Tanahashi isn't going to like what's on the other side. A baguette. Sadly, one of my most anticipated matches in AEW, Santana and Ortiz vs FTR, seemingly had to end early when Cash Wheeler suffered a freak accident cut to his forearm, prompting Dax to go home with a brainbuster on Ortiz. Thankfully, Wheeler is doing okay. I hope these two teams get to have another go at each other. Britt Baker revealed she broke her wrist while beating Nyla Rose last week. It feels like she gets injured a lot. We then got a series of segments that would have broken my mind just 1 year ago. Shivani announced the Chicago Rampage show, Darby Allin effectively called out CM Punk while standing next to Sting, and then we cut to the ring for the Bullet Club theme playing to start a New Japan title defense on an AEW show with Haku at ringside. Lance Archer beat Hikuleo relatively easily despite some Haku interference. AEW's such a vanilla midget company. When will they get some big guys? Cody Rhodes was in the producer position with Tony Khan when Malachi Black shoved his boot in America's face. The goddamn Dutch. And then brawled onto the stage ahead of their match next week. Malachi's eye is looking even worse than when he debuted. You might want to get that checked out, Black. Stink eyes are a terrible thing. Miro cut a typically excellent pre-recorded promo saying there are two things that motivate him: a vengeful god and a double-jointed wife. Sexy. He'll finally be back in action again next week against Lee Johnson. Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus and Christian Cage beat the Hardy Family Office of Angelico and Private Party pretty quickly next, which included another example of the fun defense: Luchasaurus German suplexing the entire other team at the same time. Goddamn Germans. Why didn't they just let go of each other's waists? It doesn't matter. It was fun. The Blade then attacked Christian with the brass knuckles afterwards. Thunder Rosa beat Julia Hart to bring the women's time to 10 whole minutes on this show. AEW have undone nearly all their good work for the lady division. I can't defend how they're consistently not developing their very talented roster on Dynamite. And the main event saw the second labor of Jericho, taking on Deathmatch King Nick Gage, whose MDK slogan, if you didn't know already, stands for murder, death, kill. You're just saying the same thing 3 times. Painmaker Chris Jericho came out for the more hardcore style match, which does look a bit lame at the best of times, and was even more shown up by Gage looking legitimately terrified. But hot dog! They put on a great match for this kind of style. Gage immediately sliced Jericho's arm open with the pizza cutter, and the violence became more extreme from there, with Jericho taking just as much punishment as Gage. Blade jobs, a top rope Hurricane Rana through a plane of glass, light tubes, ropes. This was a full-on deathmatch on national TV. I've kind of grown out of this style of wrestling, it just makes me wince too much, but I fully support AEW embracing the variety of this crazy art form we love. It could turn people away, it could turn people on. Oddly though, what I didn't expect was people thinking it looked silly. In one of those annoying real-life moments, my lady partner walked in the moment Gage was slicing Jericho's head open with the pizza cutter, and she laughed, saying, "Who uses a pizza cutter to hurt someone?"
Who throws a shoe? Honestly.
I thought it was cool. Jericho had a trick up his mouth though, blinding Gage with mist, smashing 3 light tubes over his head, then hitting the Judas effect to win. It's Judas effective. MJF cut the celebration short by announcing the 3rd labor of Jericho, and I can't believe this. It's going against Juventud Guerrera. We've had a viewer on our podcast live streams begging for Juvi to AEW for like a year and a half, and both me and Luke have always said, there's no way that's happening. It's 2021. MJF is trolling me here. It's actually a neat callback to the Juice being brought up in a segment between them last year. It feels like Jericho really is on a retirement tour, wrestling in his various gimmicks from the past against new and old foes. Surely, a Lance Storm is approaching. Do you think Jericho is retiring? Let me know in the comments down below and vote in our poll on a poll match on the community tab, where 72% of you have voted this show as CM Punk Teases. CM Punk Teases everywhere. This was an incredibly fun episode with a terrifically wide variety of wrestling styles exemplified by the 2 very different bookend matches. The mid-card and women's divisions feel stuck on a treadmill though at the moment. This week's Dynamite is 4 out of 5.
And number 7, fans hijack NXT. Karrion Kross's 2-minute loss to Jeff Hardy on his main roster debut as NXT champion has led many to accuse Vince of intentionally burying his 3rd brand, with some speculating it's because NXT lost the Wednesday Night Wars to AEW. Reporter John Alber has tweeted that's pretty much the case. Sources in WWE tell me WWE NXT is officially viewed internally as developmental